Making All Voices of the Cityheard is a project about revealing invisible relations between city and biodiversity through machine listening. We tend to think of cities as human achievements, yet cities would purely and simply be impossible without the gifts of other species, starting with the air we breathe. For the air residency program, I wanted to create an instrument to tune in the conversations of urban wildlife, a listening tool to understand cities as multispecies environments, to inspire new connections with other life forms, and to inform the design of future cities as places of ecological care. Together with PINA, Barcelona Supercomputing Center, as well as Info Arts and Epica, we dedicated our time together to prototype ideas at the intersection of bioacoustics, machine learning, and sound composition. My name is Antoine Bertin. I would like to take you through some of the concepts, experiments, and findings of my research residency with Starts Europe. The structure you are now seeing is a network of conversations that are not human. Each dot represents a sound made by a being from another species: a bird, a bat, an insect, a fish. Each color that you see represents a different species. This three-dimensional map was created using an algorithm called AVIS. AVIS is developed by Earth Pieces Project, an organization bringing computer scientists and bioacousticians together with the objective of decoding the communications of other than human species. The sounds we used to train this algorithm came from Xenocanto, a vast citizen science database, along with some of my own recordings, allowing us to represent as many European cities as possible within the dataset. When presented with these sounds, the algorithm acts like a microscope or a telescope, meticulously analyzing every digit of the recordings to uncover the relationships between them. The resulting sound map visualizes these relationships, where the physical proximity of points represent perceived similarities in meaning between vocalizations. In other words, sounds placed close together on this map share characteristics and connections that extend beyond the limits of human hearing. What fascinates me most about this map is how it organizes sounds in ways entirely unlike a human would. A musician, for example, might group sounds based on familiar traits like pitch or rhythm, but the algorithm operates on a different plane, associating sounds based on patterns and structures hidden within the data. It offers a perspective that challenges our assumptions and invites us to consider new possibilities for understanding these vocalizations. After creating the mathematical map of non-human conversation, the next objective of our research was to develop a mechanism, an interface to explore these urban vocalizations and their potential relationships with various facets of the urban environment. Which species thrive in specific areas of the city? Do birds sing differently as temperatures rise? How do bats communicate when air pollution increases? These are the kinds of questions that inspired the creation of this interface. To address these questions, we developed an instrument that allows listeners to navigate the data as if they were walking through an abstract city. Here, walking becomes a form of composition, and composing becomes a way of weaving relationships with other forms of intelligences. The instrument is driven by a multi-dimensional playhead that behaves a little bit like a flaneur, a wanderer, moving through the latent space of the model. Users can influence its behavior, slowing it down, speeding it up, or making it leap between clusters of sounds. As it moves, sound by sound, a unique composition unfolds. Imagine strolling through a city unlike any you've experienced before. Not a visible city, but a latent one. Not merely an imaginary city, it is a real city, existing just beyond the limits of human perception. It is a digital city, constructed from the connections between all the sounds produced by all living beings, whether birds, bats, insects, or fish. who have ever inhabited, currently inhabit, or will inhabit its space. As you walk through this sonic landscape, you start noticing patterns and connections that might have otherwise escaped you. In one visualization, for example, sounds recording during the day are represented in yellow, while those recorded at night are shaded purple. Regardless of the species, the machine appears to distinguish subtle nuances between day and night conversations. In another, recordings made in parks are colored green, while those from mineral spaces, concrete and stones, are grey. It raises intriguing questions. Do animals socialize differently in the different urban spaces they inhabit? Playing the instrument offers not just an auditory experience, but a way to rethink the interplay of sound, life forms, and the environment we call home. The project was presented during the Air Festival as a collective listening session, combining sound compositions, data visualizations, and spoken word. The session aimed to take participants on a sensory journey through the abstract mathematical spaces crafted by machines listening to wildlife. It posed an essential question. How can we, as humans, expand our listening horizons? And what can we learn from this telescope into the conversations of other life forms? Just as the realization that the sun doesn't orbit around the Earth shifted humanity's perspective, listening with machines challenges us to recognize that we are not the center of intelligent life on this planet. Cities are not just home to biodiversity, they are biodiversity. And if cities are to survive and thrive in the face of climate change, they must transform into truly multi-species spaces. Imagine learning from other than human cultures, so unlike our own, many of which have existed on this planet for longer than we have. Imagine conversing with them, perhaps through a musical instrument. What if we designed cities with other life forms? What if our urban spaces became places of shared imagination where humans inhabitants could find ways to give back to the beings who already sustain us, the ones who gift us the air we breathe and the sounds we hear?